Now we're going across the Hamilton's police station, and this is another direction to get to Techniques Order. And there's the People's Pharmacy on the right. Okay, now we're coming up on Victoria Street. Victoria Street and King Street. We're going to take a left onto King Street. Now we're right at the stop sign. King Street and Donald Street. And onto King Street. Now we turn right onto Curvin Avenue. And this is Techniques Order. We're at the stage where we're going to install back the engine in the car. So now this portion of the video series is focusing on installing the engine and bolting back everything together. And that itself is a art, because you know different vehicles have different methods and different challenges in terms of reinstall the engine. So let's get going with this section of the video. So now I'm just making sure everything is clear and there's nothing in the way for the engine to install. The first thing is in putting the engine in position for installation. You can't keep the engine flat. You have to have it on a slight angle. How much angle is determined the closer you get to connect the engine to the transmission or the gearbox. But at this point, we have it on a fair enough angle where we think it should be okay. But we'll see what happens when we get a little bit closer to the gearbox. Maybe we need to readjust the angle and either bring it down a little bit or bring it up a little bit. But the important, you have to have it on an angle, because no engine you can fit it in flat, like how it sits in the car. Okay, here you can see how the angle of the engine, is changed. because we have to shift it a little bit so it can line up with the angle of the transmission. And now I'm just about to slide it in. Okay, so it's right up there. And now I'm just sketching the top bellows and bolt, just to hold it in the dowel. Finally catch it. And these BMWs can be a pain in the neck around the bellows and air. And I'm just tightening up this top bellows and bolts. This, you barely can get your finger down in there. So now I have the engine close up to the transmission, and the bellows and bolts are catch and lock. So now I can put in the engine mounts. I'm going to install the engine mount. So I have to keep the engine up at that angle so I can actually get the mount in. And the jack needs going up back a little bit. Let's try again. So I'm just sketching the top bolt, then after I'll put it in position. Okay, so engine mount is in. Now I can release the engine frame. This is the first step in the reinstallation process of the engine. The bellows and bolts have been tightened up and will catch the engine mount. So now we're going to move to put in the starter motor and a few other pieces before we start to do the wiring, holes and all the other external things that needed to install the engine. If you notice, I just put a towel here. Normal. You know, in some garages you have a special protective mat that you put on the side of the car to avoid stuff like this, like a welded extension, to avoid it scraping the vehicle. But you know, you don't really need that expensive stuff. If you just, a young mechanic and you want to get the work done good without damaging the car, a simple towel can do the trick. So you just have two towels you put on either fender, and that can keep wires, spanner, the button in your shirt, and so on from scraping the fender or other area of the car. Now I'm going to catch lock the torque converter to the flex plate, and this is normally a challenge with most automatic transmission, but for this E30, sometimes you can't help but wonder what was they thinking. And every manufacturer you have that question with some areas of the vehicle. And this is the small area here where you have access between the oil sump and the flex plate to catch the bolt, and it's a very tight fit. And what we gotta do is, this is the torque converter here, and it's got to be tightened up to the flex plate, which is right there. And inside there is that small hole where you gotta line up the bolt. You can see the bolt. You see the bolt hole, the bolt threading lined up right there. And that's where you have three of those bolts on this engine. Some engine have 6, some have 3, some have 4. This engine have 3. And you gotta catch them one by one and make them a little loose until you catch all of them. Then you can tighten them up. So now I'm going to try and catch this bolt, and you can see how tight the fit is. It's like your finger just about can get there. And this really and truly not the worst when it comes to torque converter bolts. So now I just use my finger and run it down, but I want to keep it loose like that, because sometimes if you tighten it up one, then sometimes one of the other ones can't catch. You got to position your body in different ways. Between here is like 2 inches, and if I come there, then your hand go up, but your finger have difficulty. So the way I position my hand in the back, and just about catch it. So now the 3 bolts catch, and we're gonna lock them up. So here I'm just tightening up the inspection cup for the torque converter bolt. This is the rest of the bellows and bolt here. That actually go into the inspection cover. So now we are all done with all the bellows and bolts. Just gotta install the starter motor. It's a little bit tricky with the starter motor, but that's the next step now. So I have a new gasket here, and I'm going to actually catch the exhaust to the downpipe right now. And for these BM, all the models, it's a little bit crazy in this area. Just catch one. I can't even get my fingers up there. Once I catch one, then I can just use okay, so I catch one, and I have 3 more. And I'm going to use a torque socket. So I'm actually going to use the socket. like areas like this, your hand can't go, so you have to improvise. And I want to make sure the bolts don't cross-thread, and that would be a disaster. Now I have one bolt that is on an angle, and the extension can't go, so I could use a civil, or I could just get my fingers up there. So I'm gonna try and get my fingers up there. And this is how you have to flexible in your body. So I finally catch it. Okay, good. So, and I'm just going to use my hand and lock them. So the last thing we want to do is use the ratchet, use the air gun, and have one of these bolts broken. I gotta put a civil on this one. Okay, so let's get the trace right so that we can get a little bit more room to maneuver. So now the downpipe is tightened onto the exhaust manifold. And remember, from when we're doing that, the gasket and repairing the studs on the head, at least we know we have proper sealing coming from the manifold. New gasket here, a new gasket here between the downpipe and the manifold. So the muffler, we should get a good improvement from the performance of the engine and the sound of the engine with this section repairing properly. So now you can see a little better view of the bolts that join the exhaust manifold and the downpipe on the exhaust together. And those was the bolt who was securing it. You can see how the space tight. That's why in this work you got to be physically fit also and nimble, because you have to fit your hand and body in very tight space. And this is all new parts. The strut for the engine mount and brand new engine mount. They all fit and tighten good. And the same thing over there. Same thing over there. You have the engine mount. And then you have the strut right there. So we know that's a huge improvement in the sound quality of the engine, because the old mounts was all busted and basically the struts was broken off. So this is going to keep the engine steady and much more better separated from the body in terms of metal to metal contact, and that's what's going to help to keep the sound of the engine quiet inside. You know, in a racing car would use a solid mount, not this kind of rubber mount, so it would be much noisier. But with the stock car or standard car, you always want to make sure the engine mounts are in good condition. Now I'm going to install the starter motor. Starter motor was rebuilt not so long ago. I'm just starting up the starter motor. It's real difficult with this starter motor. And this is where you really have to love the work, you know? Because if you don't love the work, this kind of stuff make you give up. Okay, so that one is locked. Now I'm just changing the transmission mount, and this is a part that you need to change also when you're doing a repair if they're not in good order. And you can see this is the reason why we're changing it. So the mount's completely broken, but customer didn't even realize neither. And you can see right there, it's supposed to be like that, and it's supposed to be in place. So we're going to put some new transmission mount in, and all of that going to help to give to make that feeling of a new car coming back, because the engine going to be nice and cushioned and while attached to the body, but the sound body, the body noise and so on. And this is the new transmission mounts. So these will take care of that problem with the old mounts. And you can see the huge difference. So even though the car didn't come in for transmission mounts, but just rebuilding the engine, you know, you gotta check all the mounts and make sure they're in good order. And most time, if you can access new mount, it's best to just replace them, because after 25-30 years, the mount them partially worn out or completely worn out. So I'm going to just put the new mounts, attach it to the transmission first. So it's kind of difficult to get them in. Get them in with the it's kind of difficult to get them in while they're attached to the bracket. that go to the fuel injection system. And these hoses, they crystallize. You can see how they're very hard. So these hoses, we want to change them. And these are some of the things you have to look out for when you're doing a rebuild like this. Because the last thing you want to do is use a hose like this, reuse it, and then you develop a leak and catch the car afire. And you know, this system have at least 45 psi. So that's a lot of pressure in a whole hose. So this means, you know, if these hoses should crack, a lot of gas going to leak real fast. And that can cause the car fire. This is the new hose, and you can see how flexible it is. So we're going to just replace all these fuel hoses. And you can see how it's difficult to come off. These are the new fuel hoses going in. I want to hose them in a certain angle. Now I'm just installing the distributor cap and spark plug wires. And important to remember when you're doing this installation, you gotta get the firing up. You gotta set the firing order correctly. So with this distributor, the engine rotates clockwise and the distributor will rotate anti-clockwise with this distributor setup. And it's pretty straightforward with this firing order because it's right here, 1, 3, 4, 2. So the first one we're going to find is number 1. Okay, now I'm going to put in the engine oil. So I'm getting closer and closer. Start. And now we don't really want any oil spilling over on the engine, so sometimes it's better if you can't do it like this, use a funnel. And this is a 50-50 mix coolant, so you don't need to add any water to it. And this will prevent all that rust and corrosion you see in the water jackets when I was disassembling the engine. At this point, the installation has been completed, meaning all the parts have been reinstalled. So now the moment is there. Will it start? That's the one question that goes through every mechanic mind when they finish assembling an engine. Will it start? And will everything be okay? Then you gotta catch yourself and be confident.